Welcome to Cannabis Corner, where all of your questions are answered. Mondays have one day here for you. Joe the weed guy and Farmer. Welcome to Cannabis Corner. So let's start the show.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Cannabis Corner on WNHHLP 103.5 FM, broadcasting live from downtown New Haven. We are streaming live on TuneIn Radio and NewHavenIndependent.org. We're also streaming live video on Facebook and YouTube. Just go to your Facebook page, look us up, and hit see first to see and hear all the great programs we have here on WNHHLP. And just a reminder, Cannabis Corner is also streaming live on the Greenhaven Media YouTube and Facebook page and Pro Media, CannabisMedia.com. So you can check us out. We're all over the place. Well, it is Monday, October 21st, 2024. Welcome to Cannabis Corner. I'm your host, Joe LaChance, and of course, Joe the Weed Guy. I am joined by Uncle Lou, Farmer Lou. How are you today?
I'm doing quite well, enjoying the beauty of what life is and kind of just moving forward on that note. That's what I got going on, and nice, easy way of going on, I guess. I'm trying to be as low-key as possible today. Had a very busy weekend, which was nice. Spent some time with my family. I actually got to go to my very first NFL football game. And,
really? Which one did you go to?
It was an Eagles and Giant game. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, it was a good time. Giants lost, but it's all part of it. So it was a good time, though.
Yeah, I'm a big Mets fan. I'm a little disappointed myself.
Yeah, I got to smoke a little something outside the stadium with camaraderies. You know what I mean? Walked by, there was a guy smoking a joint with a weed shirt on. And I said, hey. He looked at me and I said, hey, you partake, I partake. And proceeded to do the one thing we hate doing, but we did it anyway. We shared a joint. So.
So now, what are the rules I mean, I guess you can smoke in the stadium, right? Because it's outdoors.
I'm pretty sure there's no smoking there in general, but things happen.
Right. You do what you do.
Edibles, vape pens. There's always.
Yeah,
I'm probably the one person in the world that gets like snagged in venues like that. I'm at a Fish concert. Everyone is smoking and security comes up and taps me. I'm like the easiest target. Are you like for real right now?
She's like, I'm at a Fish concert.
Like of all the places.
Fish. Of all the places, you would think they would provide it.
Birthday party going on in front of the building, if you know what I mean, but I'm getting in trouble.
What can you do? I used to get busted all the time at concerts.
That is awesome. That's what else do you really say at that point, right?
Right. So, well, I had a nice weekend. Very enjoyable time this weekend at the Burn and Learn Harvest Fest. I gotta say, was probably the best day of music we've had all year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we had Creamery Station there. Good friends of the show, good friends of the community, and Shakedown. So we talk about Fish and jam bands. This was a whole day of jamming, and it was just great.
Nice.
Music was awesome. We had a ton of people there. I think it was probably one of our best attended. Really, really good time, good vibes, great weather. I mean, you couldn't have beat the weather out there, and it was a perfect cap off to a great season of outdoor events that we held this year at the Holy Ghost Park. So thank you to the Burn and Learn. Thank you to Pat and Jen, and also, of course, to the Holy Ghost Park for hosting the events. But I got to say, it was a great time. And, of course, I spent yesterday just freaking recovering because those events are great, but they're 12 hours,
Oh, man, Joe, that sounds like
my social battery shuts off way before that.
Yeah, those are a long day. Those are
5-hour energy and a lot of edibles, and I was good.
That sounds like a long day, Joe.
It was. That's why I had to spend yesterday recovering.
I have heard good things from everyone that went to that event with Burn and Learn. The buzz is out there. Sounds like it was really fun.
Yeah, yep. We're looking for, I can't wait till next year, but of course they always have ongoing things, but they're much smaller scale.
Yeah.
But these are nice.
Well,
So
they're a great little local education center who does focus on making sure that the community is taken care of locally, and
yeah, and they do great events. When they have an event coming up, they do a lot of different educational stuff over there. They've been adding more and more, so it's pretty good.
good friends,
Good friends, always. Uncle Pat and Jen. Uncle Pat is one of the founders of the community, so we gotta give him his props.
There you go.
All right, Kristen,
Yes,
tell us
sir.
a little bit how you're doing and what's going on around the state. I'm sure between the two of us, we got tons of events.
Yeah. So weekend was kind of quiet. I did go up to Springfield. I've mentioned it before. My oldest goes to Western New England University. She's a cheerleader, so it's football season. And she turns 21 on Wednesday, which is killing me inside. But so
Why?
it was
Because you know what you did when you turned 21, Kristen?
I think I started a little earlier, but regardless, so my one thing, I'm like, you know what? I'm proud of you for not getting a fake ID, because she's like complaining how all her friends are going out and she can't go because she's a little young. She's a senior in college and she's 20, so she's a little young for her grade. But yeah, so went up, spent the day watching the football game, and then she's had a boyfriend for about a year now, so we took the boyfriend out to dinner. That was lovely. And then today I was complaining briefly before we got on air, but I had plans and some stuff I had to do. So I drove up to Providence, got all the way up there, and then parental duties quite literally called my phone from the school. I drove all the way to Providence, parked, and had to turn my butt back around and come back. So the good news is I'm here for the show and I got a really scenic view. The bad news is I was genuinely looking forward to hanging out up there for stuff, but that is all right. Yeah, so the foliage is gorgeous. The weather is beautiful. So those are all silver linings. And I'm very happy to be here on time today.
Very happy you made it on
Yeah.
time, Kristen, and I hope you did enjoy your ride up and back
You
from
got
Providence.
to find the silver lining. I was a little bit cranky on the way back home for how things are shaking out, but it is what it is. And you just kind of roll with it,
Gotta love when those kids' schools call, man.
Oh, I'm like frantically calling other people, like, please, where's the emergency contact list? Of course, everyone called back when it was too late. I'm like, why? But it is what it is.
All
So,
right. Well,
yeah,
as long as Brianna's all right, that's what matters.
like I said, I would have led with that. It's so minor, it's ridiculous. Like, quite frankly, I should have said no.
All right.
Yeah.
But anyway, events coming up. I think it's very relatable.
Baby, do I know how that goes?
I was gonna say this is very relatable for the parental
Listen,
unit.
just for anecdotally, my daughter will make sure to come up with some things and purposely call me versus calling her mother. We're divorced, so if the phone call goes to her mother, my ex-wife works for the school district, so she's a superintendent of one of the grade levels. And they're like, oh no, your mother will be by the location in a couple minutes and blah, 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 responsibly and things like that. But when it's like, can you call my dad? And
like, okay.
Hey, your daughter, is calling. And I'm like, yeah, my daughter just played you, played her mother. She's 13. I'm like, he just didn't want to be in school today. Yeah, I'm coming to get her.
I love the ingenuity.
I'm
though.
like, do you feel okay? She goes, no, I just want sushi. So I was, okay.
I just wanted sushi.
Okay. I'm like,
could have just brought you sushi.
I'm like, you just played everybody. Like, that's where she goes, I just wasn't feeling it today, Daddy. And I said, if it pisses your mother off, I'm all about it.
All right, she's a funny kid. She sounds really funny.
I wonder.
She's a good girl.
She must take after her dad.
Good girl. You know what I mean? Oh yeah. And Joe, you've met her a couple times.
Yeah.
She's very much my daughter. All right.
Yep, she does. Speaks her mind.
That's great.
Yeah, she does. So what do we have going on?
What do we got going on, Kristen?
You've got the bigger list, but a couple that I wanted to drop definitely. We talked about it before, but Hexpo. So that is next weekend on October 26th in Massachusetts. That's a Halloween cannabis expo. That is put on by Bobby Nuggs and Bailey. So really great event. They've got a ton of great sponsors. It looks like a blast. You can dress up. You don't have to, but tickets are still available. I do believe they have a couple of spots left if you want to be a vendor or sponsor, but don't hold me to that because I'm sure for them that's changing by the minute. But definitely check out Hexpo. The general admission tickets, I believe, are $10. So very affordable. Looks like an absolute blast. So that's a fun thing to, it's in Seekonk, Massachusetts. So not too far from
Oh.
Connecticut. Some Connecticut folks want to journey on up there.
Nice ride. Lou and I have been to quite a few Hexpos. Always puts on a great show. Always a lot of great vendors, a lot of people up there. It's a who's who. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a great event to go to if you have the time. Go spend the day up there in Massachusetts on Saturday. All right.
Nice.
A lot of fun.
Very cool. And the other one, of course, the Connecticut Cannabis Small Business Alliance is doing its event on Sunday, November 3rd. So that's coming up in about 2 weeks. We have tickets available if you go to ctcannabisalliance.org. You can get the tickets right from the website. They're $35 in advance, $50 at the door. So definitely get your tickets early and save yourself that $15. But we have some really great things there that we will be able to auction off. So that'll be fun for that auction portion. And then there's also going to be some raffle items. So, get yourself some raffle tickets, see what you want to get. But it's going to be a really fun event. We've got food. We've had Emerald Lounge on the show before. They are one of our sponsors. So the guys from Emerald Lounge will be there with their big
nice.
truck. So we've got a very nice, classy consumption area. They've got big screen TVs and Nintendos and all sorts of cool stuff on there. So they'll be with us, and your ticket gets you obviously food. We've got some nibbles in the beginning, one drink ticket, and then it would be cash for any additional beverages. So they do have, they carry Wink. So there will be some, infused beverages there that they're able to sell. And then also soda, juice, all of that. If you would prefer a glass of wine or something, that's also available through that drink ticket. But definitely do that. This is to raise money for the Alliance. So, we're raising money so that we can go out and do all those good deeds, but it takes money to do these things. And so we're really trying to both amp up our membership, so that folks are involved in all of the great things that we're doing and stay in the know, and then also raise some money to kick back out to the small business community for the hemp and cannabis side in Connecticut. So definitely check that one out as well.
Yeah, that's going to be a great event. Of course, both you and I are involved in the CCSBA, and basically the CCSBA is really trying to become like a chamber of commerce for the small businesses, ancillary businesses, small cultivators. Most of the people that really don't get a voice up there in the legislative building all the time are also out there in the community. So I think it's a great fundraiser. I am looking forward to it. I've been lucky enough to be involved with it, and I see we have a lot of great sponsors. I know
I
a
was
lot
just
of great
thinking that.
gifts are coming in, and we're adding more sponsors by the day. If you would like to sponsor or be a part of that, please go to ctcannabisalliance.com and or org, I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
it should
Or
be
you can
fun.
message either of us or Rebecca Harvey as well as helping with sponsorships. But yeah, absolutely.
And the good thing about it is it's a holiday party, but it's early. So we wanted to schedule it early, get it out of the way. So because we know everybody else is going to be doing their stuff later on in the month and during December. So we wanted to get ours done early so you can attend all the other great ones that'll be coming up. Anyway, so as far as events that I have, this Saturday, if you don't end up going to Hexpo, over at the Burn and Learn Center, there is a wellness education series. Mushrooms, meditation, and massage. So that should be good if you want more info about that. That is at the Burn and Learn Center this Saturday at 11 a.m. Also, the Harvest Cup is coming up on Saturday, November 9th, and that is at the DCU Center in Worcester. So anybody who knows about the Harvest Cup, that is a great event to take a ride. It's a 2-day event. They have a lot of great things coming up with it. They always do a great competition. And it was probably one of the first competitions, I would say, in Massachusetts in the area. Would you say that, Lou, was probably one of the first?
I would agree on that statement. It was one of the first like I say,
formal.
locally run as well as larger scale. It was pretty cool. They've been running for a while now, which is really awesome, and they really great group of people. And it's a cool place to just be seen and just to be a part of as well. You know what I mean, Joe?
Yeah, no, and it's great. And again, it's another community event. It's a nice opportunity to get together with other people within the community. It's Worcester is not that long of a drive, and of course you get to go up to Mass, and they got nice dispensaries up there. You can check them out too while you're there. But it is great. It really is. I just find it to have that kind of more community vibe rather than a B2B vibe, which
Yeah.
I kind of like. It's not so formal. It's more community. I guess I'd call it kind of hippie-ish. But I like it.
Hey, there was some cool hippie stuff going on there a couple times.
Yep. I love it. So those are what I got. If anybody else has other events, please send them our way. But I would like to bring our guest on right now. So with us right now, it was John Nathan. He's the president and founder of Bay State Hemp Company. And Bay State Hemp Company was founded in 2019 with a mission to extract isolates from industrial hemp and supply cannabinoid blends that better target specific needs, but aren't often available in medical or recreational dispensaries. John noticed the lack of availability of isolates in cannabis spaces and worked directly with the Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources and the Cannabis Control Commission on implementing the Massachusetts Hemp Industry Survive and Thrive Amendment in 2020. Since then, Bay State Hemp Company has built a diverse selection of clean, full panel tested products and become the leading supplier of rare and minor cannabinoids in Massachusetts. Our goal is to provide access to everything this versatile plant has to offer. We are family owned and operated in Wareham, Mass, and a source of 100% of our materials is from Massachusetts certified industrial hemp small farmers. John is currently a member of the Leadership Council for the Massachusetts Hemp Coalition and an active advocate for fair treatment of farmers as well as cannabis research and education. John, welcome. Let me catch my breath after that. I'm proud of myself that I read
A
that
solid resume right there.
No, well, John's a great guy. He's been in the space a very long time now, and really a really down to earth, humble, really dope dude.
Thank you.
Which
Appreciate
which
that.
has been great to all the shit talking online and all of the fun times, and I've had the pleasure of being on some great panels and even just doing business. And so you're a solid businessman, a solid individual, and I'm really happy to have you on the show.
Thank you. Appreciate
Wow. Yeah, John, we've
that.
known you for a long time. You've been around. We love what you do. Just
Appreciate
by
that.
reading your resume.
Yeah, it's
You know-
it's funny because that bio was just kind of rewritten very recently. So it was kind of still new to me again to hear it there. So it's rephrased. It's not, new information. Updated, yes.
Yeah, no, and it's very thorough. But yeah, I really like what you guys are doing up there, and I always have, because just like it said, you saw the need, and I've always seen this too, and for the need for the minor cannabinoids and the importance of the minor cannabinoids within the whole spectrum of the plant, and the fact that it is neglected out there on the marketplace.
I mean, one of the lines of thinking, and not really something that I was super cognizant of when it started was, you know, we're very accustomed to being able to quantify what we take and what we put in our body. It gives us a basis for dosing. It allows us to have a better understanding of what works and what doesn't work. And, I found as we, kind of went down this path and started beating this drum that it's very common for, I guess the word is, everyone's using neurodivergence, for neurodivergence like myself, where it's like, my brain does not settle well with variables. So it's like, you can identify a strain, right, that one cultivator grew that has this presence of and this ratio of cannabinoids, and you can try it and it's super beneficial. Well, that next batch may have enough variance to change that. Or if someone else grows it and their conditions are different, it may not produce the same cannabinoid ratio or stack. You know what I mean, so to speak. So, you know, one of the things that I found is that it's not as prevalent now, but there was a lot of debate about, oh, full spectrum natural from the plant as it
Right.
comes from God, and then versus these isolated cannabinoids, these ratioed products, these compiled specified formulations with defined benefits and effects. And it's not really an either or. It's really just making sure that you encompass every single potential cannabis user or patient. If something's wrong with me and I go to a traditional doctor, right, they're not going to prescribe me something that changes every week. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
never going to be a raw plant extract. So I laugh because me personally, my path to having this belief was because of utilizing CBN many years ago and it having an effect on me that it does not have on everybody. I think that's the most important thing. A lot of this is anecdotal. A lot of this is deeply varying from person to person. So, it's very well instructed, like within our company, that we don't leverage my personal experience with CBN to sell CBN because most people won't have it. But for me, I tried a CBN capsule in 2016, and I sat on my bed and I remember looking around the room and I couldn't identify the feeling. And the next day, the feeling was that I realized it was just the first time I didn't have anxiety or noise. And it was so profound, and I wasn't able to find it anywhere. The company that had made these capsules kind of did away with it. They told me I was the only one buying them. This was many years ago. So, we kind of set out on this path, and through a bunch of tosses and turns, I settled on like, hey, this is a huge gap in this market. And this is the largest cannabis market on the East Coast at the time. And everyone's going to catch up to the benefits of being able to access unfettered amounts of these, beneficial molecules. So, granted, I'm at a point now in my life where I do not use CBN as much as I used to, and I smoke a joint every night. So, a lot of times people think it's like, oh, you're against this full spec. No, I smoke flower. You know what I mean? But I have, you figure you have to keep an understanding of who the primary demographic is that goes to regulated cannabis. Okay. It's for one, it's mostly 35 plus women. That's the broad category.
Yeah.
And understanding that, the vast majority of cannabis consumers, they don't care about all this other stuff. They don't want to, they don't, this isn't a hobby to them. It's either a medicine or it's something they pick up once a week. They buy it, they use it, they go about their day. So when someone walks into a dispensary and says, here is my problem and how can you help? And that problem is fixed or situated or made better, they're going to say, well, what did I just take? And being able to accurately quantify what they're putting into their body with success, it can be invaluable, and it's always making sure that producing products for the people that aren't going to meet somebody in a parking lot. You know what I mean? Like they're just not willing to do that. I'll sit in a shady Home Depot parking lot 2 hours after it closes, but
That's
again,
right.
and I'm not broad brushing any group.
I
of
think we
people.
all would agree.
I was going to say, yeah.
I'm not above that.
I've said this recently. There's different demographics.
And there's people not willing to do that, and that's who's primarily going to that dispensary. So, we focus very heavily on those products, those people, I have my customer base is a lot of them are a lot older, you know, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Your THC hunters, they're going to change course as soon as they can get an extra percentage of THC for $1 less. They're leaving your dispensary. But
Right.
that mother or father, I'm not trying to say, I'm just going by our own,
But
demographics
you're
and
not wrong
sales
about the
data.
demographics being 35 plus women either. I mean, that's very real. So
Yes, and again, they're busy. They balance the world on their shoulders. You know what I mean? Sometimes there's children, sometimes it's working two jobs. Like, people are busy, and they don't have time to go in and spend money on a product that promises them the world, and then they leave and it doesn't
It
do
doesn't
what it
deliver,
says.
right?
You may disenfranchise them from ever using cannabis again.
yes.
So I think that, it's good to have something stable, something consistent, you know. Eh, let's be real, not a lot of the cannabis industry has focused on those people. You know what I mean? When I go in and I'm told that they have eighths of fire crotch and
Right.
We don't have that in Connecticut, but
yeah, I walked in.
ATF, right? Right.
Well,
Right.
like, here's my thing. Like, you have to, when you name something that goofy, you're forcing people to have to say that out loud to use your product. And I'm going to speak for myself. If I walk, it could be the best restaurant in the world, and you put a menu in front of me, and this item looks perfect, but it's called the Piggly Wiggly fries. I'm not ordering that, man.
Right.
I'm not
Right.
saying
Right.
those words
the
out
Rudy
loud.
Tooty Fresh and Fruity.
Dude, moons over my hammy. Not happening, man. Not
Right.
happening.
Yeah, I'd rather point to it.
I'd rather
Right.
starve than
Sorry, I
have to
hopped.
say that out loud. So, I've always said to somebody, like, let's say you have, an elderly patient come in, right? And she says, here's my issues, this, and that. And you have a very educated and, progressive cannabis understanding bud tender who's like, okay, these terpenes, these terpenoids, this balance of cannabinoids, here is a strain for you that's going to help. And they take it home and it works. Now they have to come back and ask for cheetah piss. Like, there's a problem with that.
Yeah. Right.
So a lot of times, like, one of the things that I lean on is, like, we make products that just kind of do what they suggest they're going to do. Um, and then also understanding that, like, it's very difficult to market on that because it may not. This sounds a little crazy,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
something that we typically do, but if I get a phone call from somebody and they start asking me, like, things that I am being compelled to make a health claim on, you know what I mean? Like, hey, so here's my issue. I have this in the cart, but I just need to confirm if this is going to work for XYZ. What I've found is the best thing to do is just send them the bottle free. And if it works, they're going to come back. And if it doesn't work, they don't leave, $40 poorer and with, salt towards your company.
Yeah. Bad taste
So,
in their mouth. Right.
yeah,
Right.
almost every single one of our recurring subscriptions are people that we just sent a bottle to. I don't know how your body works. I don't know how your liver processes. I don't know your enzymatic function. I don't know your brain chemistry. So, and the other thing too is I don't really know what's in the plant. Like, there's this big thing where it's like, people say to me, like, well, you're like an expert on cannabinoids. Nope. I know about 20 of them. There's 115. We and it's one of the things that I always say is that there's really no experts in cannabis, because the more you read and the more you learn, the more you realize how little we all collectively know.
Yeah. Right.
You know,
Exactly.
um,
And it's constantly developing. So you can't be an expert, really.
so I remember, like, 2 years ago, the big thing was, everyone started to talk about indica and sativa don't mean anything. It's plant morphology, this, and that.
Right.
I'm on board with that. And then it deferred to this, it's all about terps. And I started getting my brain started tweaking a bit on that, because I was like, okay, I do understand the benefits of terpenes. I do understand, how they can influence brain chemistry. There are some terpenes that act on cannabinoid receptors. Beta caryophyllene has CB2
Yep.
receptor activity. Is it a cannabinoid? Is it a terpene? Who knows? And I kind of rejected a lot of it. And it was one of those things that, like, publicly I stayed quiet, but privately I would like hit up chemist friends and be like, this doesn't make sense. Like, one hit of the joint and it should combust all of these terpenes out of it. And like, how is this beneficial? How much is being absorbed? And then there was a new study that just came out saying it's not the terpenes are the smell, but it's really the terpenoids and the flavonoids. And I do not know much about that.
Right.
So I'm not going to try and delve into that topic, but now it makes sense to me. You know what I mean? Now it's like, okay, so there's other compounds, there's other, which is why there's such a difference between cannabis terps and botanically derived terps.
Right.
And I couldn't get on board with that. I was like, I'm not there. A molecule's a molecule. Linalool from lavender and linalool from, whatever
Right.
cannabis, how could it be different? But then when there was actually a framing of it. It was a really good post on LinkedIn, which those words don't usually go together. There was a great post on LinkedIn where this guy kind of really delved into, like, you have to think of cannabis derived terps as full spectrum terpenes, a full spectrum terpene extract. So you're bringing in all of these components, and we don't really know how everything works, but we know that it's more efficacious and more effective. So one of my silly lines I always say is, like, I could sit here for 3 hours and talk about 7 cannabinoids, and we wouldn't even be scratching 10%
The surface,
out
yeah.
there. So it's fun. It's very interesting, but I feel like we did a really good job of, like, this is our niche. This is where I'm at. This is what I do. I don't grow. I will kill anything that's living.
I have a
No, well,
brown thumb.
hold on. Pause.
I'm with you on that.
Don't make it so broad.
Yeah, I will kill any plant that is left exclusively in my care.
Let's reframe that. Plant life.
Side note, not people,
Didn't
not
sound
I didn't
great.
even interpret it like that until
I choked it back a bit. I kind of
But
realized
yes,
that.
exactly.
Nice company. They make CBN and serial murder. No, but yeah, it's I think it's really important to find what you're good at and stay in that lane.
Right.
And a lot of times when you see folks venturing into things, look, there's people, that have a grow, they have a retail, and they have a processing facility, and they suck at all three. And they're spread too thin, and then they hire people that don't yes man their vision, and they wind up firing good people, and they wind up with a ton of turnover, and then you just have more mids in a saturated market, driving down quality, driving down costs. So I think it's really, really important in cannabis to, like, just kind of, I'll say it like this. There's a practice that I do whenever I'm doing any sort of business idea and thrashing it out. And to be fair with you, I've only answered it twice in a way where it materialized into forming a business. But one is, like, what is the gap in the market and why am I uniquely qualified to fill it? And if you can't answer that, get away.
Right.
Because there's somebody right now in a room high-fiving their team about to drop a 5 milligram THC gummy in Massachusetts, or a distillate cartridge. We don't need you, brother. Like,
Got plenty of that.
We're so set. We're all set, and this one's going to be a 1-to-1. Just don't. Like, it's. And I understand, right? Like, but it's one of those really important things that people need to answer. And I remember when we hashed this out, I was like, you know what? I have a personal experience. I like chemistry. I like finite sciences and math. I like not dealing with the public, and that's why it made sense. But I tell everyone, if they shut down cannabinoids, I'm out of cannabis. There's nothing else for me to do here.
Right.
I have a passion, I have a love, but recognizing where you're needed and what your unique skills are, It's an exercise that would prevent a lot of fluff from,
Right.
put it this way, if Massachusetts decided to go how Connecticut has gone on hemp, I'm gone.
Thank God you live there because right.
Honestly, and John
We
has been very like when that was happening last year, I probably blew you up asking questions about, all right, how
well,
does this work? How does that work? Does this really matter? Can I sell this? Like,
the issue is that one of the problems we had is people abused loopholes. Okay. Now, I always say, like Hillary, it's okay to have a private and public stance, right? So my private stance is that weed should be able to be sold anywhere by anybody with some regulation, some testing if it's clean. Kristen should be able to grow plant in her basement, get it tested, and if it meets the qualifications of the state, be able to go to a farmer's market and sell it. Like in
Right.
spirit, that's what I believe in.
Right. Free
But
market.
the reality is that there's products being sold under the name of hemp that are dangerous. There's things that are not tested, in traditional full panel testing that can address all of these dangers. For example, you have like the Delta 8 THC, right? A lot of people they say, oh, it's natural, it comes from the plant. Okay, cool, but the plant doesn't produce toluene sulfonic acid that you use to convert CBD to Delta 8, and tell me where on that full panel test did you make sure that there's no residual acids in there. So these little checks and balances, they didn't exist. People abused it. It becomes an issue, and then there's an overcorrection by a dumb legislature that has no idea how any of
Right.
this works. And they use broad and ambiguous language and they piece everything together. And then the next thing you know, I have we work with licensed cannabis companies in Connecticut, and Connecticut sends us these requests for information. I'm like, you're asking me to put proprietary processes in public domain,
yeah.
and it's the only way to get approved. So there's certain like cannabinoids that we can't sell into Connecticut because I paid chemists a lot of money to help us develop process. And
Right.
and you want me to sit here and tell everyone how to produce CBN without chemicals publicly? And
Which no other industry requires, I might add. You can maintain, well, maybe there's some, but like that proprietary intellectual property you shouldn't have to make that public.
correct.
I mean, I'm all for transparency and disclosure, but to your point, you paid for those. Like, why do you do all the work and then just put it out there so someone like me can Google it and copy you?
Or just ask for ingredients used in the process.
I agree with
Yeah.
You
that.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and a signed affidavit and some ability to allow them to audit off the record to ensure of it, or just create additional testing standards. Like, look, like the pH testing inhalable concentrates is the end of the worry. You know what I mean? Like, there you go. Now there is a step in the process that ensures people aren't inhaling noxious fumes and acids. But take a look online. People are selling THCO cartridges. Every
Yeah.
once in a while,
HHC. I mean,
so
that's
we get these calls all the time. It's like, do you have this? Do you have that? And I don't fault them because, on the other end, especially for smaller family-owned operators, there's not a lot of wiggle room, especially in Massachusetts with marijuana. Like, how do you become a differentiator? How do you compete with the smoke shop that's selling it? But it's one of those things where, we just took a overall stance to avoid the living shit out of anything that is not a naturally occurring phytocannabinoid that can be regularly found in flower. You know what I mean? Granted, we will produce it in larger amounts than flower will provide, but it has to be something that exists in the plant. And I don't mean in these like minute fractions of a percentage.
that you have to synthesize through 6 different processes
Yeah,
to
and
get. It's
And
ridiculous.
the thing is I do not have an issue with synthesis overall. I don't think it's an ugly word, But I do believe that a lot of these processes have been developed on forums, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's not a lot of oversight. And I remember a lot of people were making CBN with like iodine, right? And on the surface, it doesn't seem too crazy. It's being used as a catalyst. I know exactly what its
Yeah.
purpose is, but people are allergic to iodine. What are we
Right.
doing to make sure that that end product has no residual?
Yeah, you
So,
can overdose. You can have too much iodine in your
correct.
system and it's not good for you.
So like there's certain things like that it proves itself to be a real pain for us, because I don't want to be the narc, you know.
Right,
But
right.
when you see something and it's dangerous, like I believe that saying something is the right way to move, but at the same time, you're feeding information to a legislature that doesn't know how to interpret this information. And then you're going to see something like, Oregon, where they were like, all synthetic cannabinoids are banned. Okay, define synthetic,
Right.
right? So
Right.
like decarboxylation by
Definition, yeah.
technicality is synthesis. You're applying heat, you're applying light and agitation to a material to change it into something else. Now it's not isomerization, but it still could be considered synthesis. Or don't drink a beer. I mean, beer is biosynthetic.
Yep, yep.
It's a process that would naturally occur in nature is accelerated utilizing catalysts.
Even wine, right?
Wine. I mean, if you take a look at the entirety of, we wouldn't have a single pharmaceutical without synthesis. So
Right.
it's one of those things where I understand why there's many people, especially like the true blue, I've been smoking flower every day for 40 years. When they hear synthetic, they scoff, and rightfully so. You know what I mean? People didn't march in the street and get arrested and shot by the DEA so that some bro can make Delta 8 in their bathtub to sell at smoke shops. So I do understand that, but I also believe that one of the biggest problems in this industry is that words tend to lose their meaning through semantic satiation. So things get said so much, and we have so many colloquialisms that are used in cannabis that don't mean what they actually mean. Like I'll give you an example. We sell cannabichromene, CBC, okay?
Hmm.
Isolate. It's 99%, but it's a viscous amber material. And people will go, oh, I thought this was an isolate. This isn't an isolate, it's a distillate. And I'm like, well, it can be both. Those aren't mutually exclusive
Yeah,
terms.
they don't understand, right, what the
And
process is, how that
yeah,
one is
so
really the other.
like distillate is just the output of the distillation process, and isolate just means that this is a pure single molecule without any other contaminants or ingredients. So like these words tend to lose meaning, and then we find ourselves in these situations where, I mean, people call me all the time, they're like, we're looking for a full spectrum CBN distillate. I'm like, that doesn't exist.
Like that is not a thing yet.
Delta
Yeah.
8 live resin hash flat, like none of those words can go together. But because we've abused these words, you know what I mean, and taken the meaning from them, and then you run the risk of, you have to meet people where they're at. It's like one of those things where it's like, you're a bud tender and someone comes in and says, hey, look, I got bad knees and I can only smoke indica. If you start telling them that indica doesn't mean anything, you've just insulted them. I mean, a lot of times, most humans are not capable of taking an on the spot correction. Nevertheless, where they're in a position where they believe they have the power. Like I'm the buyer. I'm in your establishment. I said I want indica, and you're telling me I don't know what I'm talking about. So now you're telling me that all my collective experiences are wrong and blah blah blah
Right.
blah. Who am I to shatter your placebo? But at the same time, how do you educate them on what to actually look for? And you have these situations where, indica and sativa edibles, which mean nothing,
Right.
nothing. What
Well, because yeah, the whole process of edible kind of erases that.
I mean, first off, when you eat an edible, you're getting like 60% of it. Your digestive tract is destroying a lot of what's going down the
Right.
pipe, right? Including those terpenes and any of these sugars or alcohols or any of these defining constituents that would make it an indica or sativa. And then your liver just converts it into 11-hydroxy THC, and it takes on that mechanism of action. But when you condition your consumer base or your patients, in even worse cases, that they need sativa edibles, that means when they walk in and you don't have sativa, but you have indica, they walk out without making a purchase when
Yeah.
the same product was sitting right there because you had to spread one thing into 3 SKUs. You know what I mean? Because we're allowing bad language to dictate product marketing, and it's hard. It's a really difficult situation.
You're spot on with that. And whatever, it's a shift from cannabis into sales, but in a dispensary, bud tenders are making sales. And you hit the nail on the head. And that was one of the first things I learned when I went into sales is you never want to insult someone's decision or prior decisions, because to your point, human nature is to immediately shut down. So if someone's
Yeah.
coming in and asking for that, there's definitely an art to it, but you almost need to acknowledge them, agree with them, and then start reframing to like sprinkle information almost to the degree where they come up with the idea themselves based off of what you're saying. But it's very difficult to do, but it's super important because we talk about it all the time. Bud tenders should be educating, but how are they able to do that without, first of all, understanding what we're talking about right here, right? I mean, you can't expect everyone on the front lines to know all of this. I barely know all of this, and we nerd out about it. But yeah, that's super, super
I think
important. I think people are very quick to be like, you're wrong. No one receives information that way. Absolutely no one.
I think the shift needs to happen with the focus being more on the cannabinoids rather than the indica or sativa. In other words,
I
I think a
agree.
lot of it is about cannabinoid education.
The
Because
problem is you're asking people to learn about something that they oftentimes can't even pronounce that word.
you
You
might have
Valid.
to
know,
put it out on a piece of
and
paper almost,
and and
and
to add
show them.
and to add on to that other point, like everything we're talking about is we're essentially asking bud tenders to learn the subject material, be able to on the spot prescribe how to navigate ever changing science. They need to stay on top of new products, and they're not paid enough to justify wanting to do this. You know
Correct.
what I mean? So
Mm,
it's you have somebody that's working a job. It's a retail job, which comes with all the stresses of retail. They're underneath cameras. They have all these additional laws. They can't have this here. The phone can't be out. They can't like there's so much. And then on top
right,
of that,
right.
you want them to stay on top of something that their ownership doesn't know. And to be able to guide people, and then you want to pay them. I'm not going to say a number out loud. I don't want to offend any of my clients, but you pay them pennies. So it's like, yes, we need the bud tenders to do this, but you also, if that's the role that you're putting them in, so we're working on something right now that we have a new website, new product rebrand, a whole bunch of stuff launching literally in the next 3 weeks, and then we're debuting a new product at Harvest Cup. But
Oh, nice.
one thing we're working on, I'll be there for 3 days. I'm boothing.
Oh,
This is
good.
Oh,
rare.
Okay,
I
good.
don't.
Nice
It's
plug.
very rare for
Perfect.
me.
I was like a
Perfect.
rare appearance.
I do not.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
John, I think it's important,
I'm glad
especially
you are.
right now. I mean, I wanted to, before we're running out of time real quick, but I have found a great benefit in a cannabinoid called CBM, which is basically really helped out with my gut. And it's fairly new cannabinoid. And I was just wondering if you had any knowledge of that.
No, I don't, and I'm not afraid to say that. I mean, I think
I
that's.
appreciate that actually. A
But
lot of people will.
the one person I know of, and he's from Connecticut, is Mike Goodenough.
That's where I got it.
Exactly. So he's been on the advent of that for so long that one of the things that I think is important is when you see a good actor in a space and you see somebody that is a genuinely good person and a good steward of the plant and a good representative of the industry, and you see that they have something in their palms that they're going to proliferate, I back off. You know what I mean? And now if this was some, some Delta 8 THCO acetate guy that was like, I have CBM, fair game. But I think Mike is doing some really good things with that. And it's something that he's been looking into for years. And so I just kind of defer that to him.
Well, I think you guys kind
Yeah.
of are like, he'd be the Connecticut equivalent of you,
Yes,
almost. Yeah.
Mike and I are very, very aligned.
Yeah, Mike's a great guy. Another awesome dude that I've got to work with, and I've done some tolling for him. And
He's
Mike
a
is
good
absolutely
man.
awesome in the space. He really is.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah,
gem.
and it's important, like you said, you can't do business down here in Connecticut for certain reasons. So, and it's
Yeah.
important to have somebody who can. And you guys like you are on the forefront, because I firmly believe that the future of at least cannabis medicine really lies within utilizing and dosing and titrating these minor cannabinoids, because the
Great.
plant is so full of them. I mean, like you said, there's over 100 of them, and we're just scratching the surface. We're just utilizing maybe 20 of them.
Correct.
I think you guys are on the forefront of cannabis medicine, which I think is really where this industry, well, the industry obviously has many different facets, but I think that facet of the industry is where the real benefit of the plant comes from.
It's shifting fast.
Yeah.
First time I ever called the dispensary and asked about CBN, I called four of them, four medical, and every single one tried to tell me I mean CBD. And I was like, no, I mean CBN. This was
Yeah.
2016.
Like I said what I said.
We're at a point now where it's like, you walk into any Massachusetts dispensary and say, what do you have with CBN? And they take you down
Oh, yeah.
a whole rabbit path. And we supply, I would say, a healthy estimate, 97% of it in the state, Um,
I'm
it's
sure CBG, that was a big one for a while, right?
we do a lot of CBG, CBN, CBD, CBC, CBDV, THCV, you name it. We've played with it, sold it, worked with it. I try not to expand into things that I don't know
Right.
inside and out, and it's a tough space to operate in. So a lot of times, last year or so has really been focusing on. We're just about to unveil a brand new lab that we just built out.
Oh, great.
Yeah, we're about to quintuple our throughput. We're going to start trying to compete on the national market. So that's
Oh,
that's where
good.
things really ramp up. But it's been
Nice.
fun. But at the same time, again, there has to be an applied level of humility. I'm not calling myself humble. I hate doing that. But there has to be an applied level of humility and understanding that you don't know anything, and not to pretend that you do, because enough people pretending they know things are how mistruths become spoken as fact.
Exactly right.
That's why we say indica and sativa, because enough people said the wrong thing,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's really a power move when someone goes, do you know about this cannabinoid? Nope.
No, I appreciate that.
No.
But we're
I
almost,
also am not afraid to be like, you know what? That's not my area. That is not my area of expertise at all.
we're almost out of time, John, and I
Oh, sure.
wanted you to gave you a chance to give out all your social media, your website, tell us where you're going to be. You just mentioned the Harvest
Sure.
Cup. So yeah, website, social media, all that.
Sure. So pretty much everything is Bay State Hemp. Our public facing name is Bay State Extracts. That's kind of what we present to the public. But Bay State Hemp, Instagram, Threads, Twitter, rest in peace, Facebook, and then baystatehemp.com. New website launches on Friday.
Oh,
So it's
nice.
like one of those, like, can you wait a couple days? But yeah, Thursday technically, but we're telling people Friday. So yeah, and we'll be at Harvest Cup for 3 days. We're gonna have samples of cannabinoids for people to see, interact with our blends, our products. We're gonna have TVs going with information. This is a whole new rollout.
Yeah, great, man. Well, we're looking forward to that. So we will probably see you up there at the Harvest Cup.
Come harass your
Yeah, and that's
harass your
great
booth.
news. John, I wanted to thank you for coming on. Really
Absolutely.
appreciate with Bay State Extract, Bay State Hemp. Got it. That's a little bit of a mouthful for me. And we will see you at the Harvest Cup, Uncle Lou. Any
We will
last
see you
words?
there. We hope everybody enjoys their following week, and stay happy, healthy, and high, my friends.
All right,
Cheers,
Kristen.
guys. Thank
I'm
you
a
very
year
much.
in and I still don't have an ending tagline, but thank you so much, John. You're awesome as always. And
So are
yeah,
you.
go outside and enjoy the weather. It's beauteous.
Thank you,
All
guys.
right. Guys, thank you. Harry, hit the music. We're ready to go. We will see you next week. Follow us, like, subscribe, share. Greenhaven Media. Greenhaven Media on YouTube. Greenhaven Media on Facebook. Follow me at Show the Weed Guy. Thank you. We love you. See you next
Have a
week.
good one, guys.
Peace and love.